Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lyndsay Carey. I am the Director of Early Childhood at Marquette Alger RESA, and joining me today is Zoe Rudisill, who is our Grants Administrator here at the agency and what I like to call my partner in crime on this awesome grant in order to help the community. So today we're talking about my Tri-Share Childcare and what this means for local businesses as well as businesses across the entire UP. So the My Tri-Share program is designed to make childcare more affordable for our working families. So this program supports people that their income falls between 201% and 325% of the federal poverty level. So basically that covers anything above the child care subsidy. So child care subsidy helps support child care costs for families from that 0 to 200% of the federal poverty level. And this is for the families just above that are struggling to pay for care. So this program launched as a pilot program in March of 2021 and has continued to expand throughout this time. Childcare costs are really shared between a business, an employer, and then the state of Michigan through the Michigan Labor and Economic Opportunity through the Michigan Women's Commission. So it is a real third-based program that businesses support 1/3 of the cost, the employee supports 1/3 of the cost, and the grant supports 1/3 of the cost of childcare.
And so as Lyndsay mentioned, this program was launched back in 2021 with 3 pilot regions. We joined last spring. We had our first family sign on starting in June of 2022. Additional money was added to the budget last year, the current year we're in, to make this a permanent program through the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. So we can scratch out that pilot from the title of the program, which makes it a little bit less scary to some of the employers we talk to. It is now permanent, it's ongoing. We expect to continue for several years. And this little graph here just kind of shows you where it is active in the state of Michigan. We're not everywhere yet. Lyndsay and I cover the whole UP, all the counties in the UP, and then other hubs downstate cover those kind of navy blue and purple counties. The grayed out areas don't currently have Tri-Share available.
And what's really important to note is if a business, the hub is like the home base of that business is located in another region, as long as they are in a hub that does support that county, they can participate too. So I know we get a lot of questions about chains and where the home base is, but it does have to be a Michigan-based home that is in one of our hub counties. So who is Tri-Share for? So like I said, there is an income eligibility requirement that is really important to note, that the employee cannot qualify for child care subsidy and participate in Tri-Share. It's either. And their income will dictate which program would support them. And we learn that through the application process. Families must have a licensed home provider or center, any sort of licensed care for their child. So it cannot be grandma care. It cannot be any child care center or home that is not licensed. We cannot pay for that through this grant. They must be licensed and regulated. So this program also supports all children, so from birth through age 17, who attend those licensed centers. They can be camps. When we look at summer care, they can be before and after school care. All of that can be covered under this Tri-Share grant, but it must fall under license. So that goes for camps as well, child care license. They do have their own licensing system through the state of Michigan. And it's really important to note, because we know finding care is hard. This grant does not cover finding care. This grant helps our families that are struggling to pay for the care that they have in order to maintain their employment. So when we look at who this would support in terms of families, this also really supports employers. Any business can participate in Tri-Share, whether they're small, medium, large, any business that wants to attract talent or maybe reduce their absences at work due to paying for care, and also to help find that work-life balance, because we know childcare is expensive, and especially quality care. We know that being able to reduce some of those costs allows families to have that balance of work and play and all of the needs for their family. But we know that childcare costs are one of the main barriers for people returning to work. This is not just for moms. This is not just, we've had people ask us, is this just for moms? No, this is for any parent that qualifies under these eligibility requirements and that their business supports it. So we are really trying to reduce those barriers in people returning to work, but also in making sure that people stay in their jobs.
And so how does Tri-Share work? This program can really be molded to kind of however the employer wants to build it. Depending on how much you want to invest, you can choose to support any employee who signs up. You can choose to support 3 employees, 2. We have businesses from all different ranges. So you determine how much you want to invest in the program, how many childcare slots you want to offer. And that kind of comes from, we average the estimated cost for a family for one child for 1 year of childcare is around $10,000. So for an employer who's supporting a single slot, that's around $3,300. So that's kind of the estimated costs. Obviously, some folks are going to have a little more expenses if they have infant care, their full-time care. If somebody just has like an elementary school kid and after school care, that's a little bit cheaper. So that's going to vary from employee to employee, and that's just something that we kind of work with and monitor as we're signing people up. It's also your choice how you collect your employee portion. The way that we kind of administer this program is Marquette Alger RESA will pay the child care providers directly, and then we collect that 2/3 from you and your employees. And so what we ask is that you collect your employee portion so that we can just invoice you once a month. We'd like to make it as easy as possible. What a lot of our employers have been doing, almost all of them, I believe, are doing payroll deductions. And so every couple of weeks, they take out that 1/3 of the monthly cost to cover their employees' portion of their total cost. And so we as a hub, like I said, we administer the program. Whenever we have the applications open for your employees, we're the ones determining their eligibility. All that we ask from you as the employer is that you verify their salary, their income, so that we can make sure that that part is correct and accurate, and we can see where they fall on that FPL scale. And then, yeah, like I said, we pay the providers directly, and then we collect the 2/3 back from you guys.
So across the state, there's more than 49 businesses currently participating in Tri-Share.
And Lyndsay kind of mentioned earlier, it reduces the barriers to parents who, can't afford childcare. Some parents are kind of going back and forth. Is it worth it for me to work, to pay for childcare, that kind of thing? We've heard that from several families. The hope is that it improves work-life balance for those employees, and it allows them to put those dollars, spend them somewhere else, spend them on sports for the kids, vacations, put the dollars back into the community, into the local economy. That's kind of what this is, what we're aiming for with this program. Since we started this program back in June of last year, we have paid around $80,000 in childcare for all of our participating families. Those families have only paid $27,000. So the total cost was $80,000. They've only paid $27,000. That's a huge savings when you think of that on a month-to-month basis. We have one family who I think saves something like $1,400 a month. Like that's huge in your family budget. So that's what this program is really looking to do, is support those families and give them that flexibility to use those dollars elsewhere.
And we know that retention is really challenging in a very competitive market where there's all different things out there and available for our employees. We need to be careful and we need to find ways that we can retain. And the turnover, the business costs of turnover, I feel like sometimes this could probably be a very low average, $4,000 to $10,000 of business costs in that turnover. Onboarding new employees, depending on how much time that's invested in training and support of that new employee, could cost $4,000 or more. And then we have to look at the timing. We know that when we're onboarding new employees, sometimes that training, that support, that mentoring, that guidance, all of that needs to happen between 3 months and 1 year before that they're considered a productive employee for your company. And the reality is we're trying to reduce that turnover with the Tri-Share program. If families have that balance and families have that opportunity and they know that their employer is investing in their family, and then they're going to stay longer in that role, which is really incredible, as you know, as we use this as an attracting tool to attract other businesses as well, or other people to our business as well. So far, like Zoe mentioned, in the UP Tri-Share Hub, we're supporting 15 children and 11 families. Like Zoe said, we're talking $80,000 in tuition, where families only had to pay $27,000. We currently have 6 participating employers here in the Upper Peninsula, and between those 11 families, we've worked with 10 different childcare providers. So we are working directly with them and invoicing them directly. We're prepaying them for the month. I was a childcare director for many, many years, and there isn't a lot of cash flow. So I don't want any provider in our community across the UP say, I don't want to participate in this, because things like childcare subsidy is usually 45 days in arrears. So you're providing care and kind of waiting. And I was very clear that when we set this up, that I didn't want our providers to be like, oh, nope, sorry, don't want to participate. If we are licensed, you know, if they are a licensed provider and a family is eligible, I want to make sure that this is easy for everybody, easy for you as a business, easy for our employees to not have to worry about it, and easy for our providers. We will take the difficult work. That doesn't scare us. But what is really important is that we're helping families. We're getting this money that is available as a resource out to the community and impacting our greater community.
And so what do you as a business need to do? Say you decide, yes, we want to sign up for Tri-Share. We'd like to offer this benefit to our employees. I kind of talked through a little bit of this earlier. Your first step is to determine how much. How much do you want to invest in this program? How many employees is that going to support? That kind of thing. It's also up to you which groups of employees are eligible. Some businesses only want their, full-time FTEs to be eligible, specific unions, stuff like that. Whatever various groups you have, that's up to you to determine who you would like to offer this to. Once all of those decisions are made, you sign an MOU with us, basically stating we are dedicating this amount of dollars to the program for, this time period. And then basically from there, we kind of take it on the administrative side. We do ask that you advertise the program and direct your employees to the application that we house on our website. And then from there, any employee who applies, we get the notification. We put all their information into a spreadsheet, and all that we ask of you at that time is to then verify their income. For families who have multiple income streams, like from a spouse or a partner, something like that, we do ask that they put some kind of documentation in there as well, because we do take that into account. It's the gross income of the whole family is how we determine what their FPL is. So obviously you can't verify the income of the spouse or the partner, but we ask that they submit pay stubs or W-4s, that kind of thing. So we take care of all that. And then from then on, really all that you guys need to do as a business is pay that monthly invoice from us. As new applicants come in, one of us will shoot you an email and just say, hey, this new person signed up. Can you verify their income for me? And then we kind of get everything set up from there. We talk to the childcare providers to determine what that monthly cost is going to be so that you can set up direct deposit or however you decide to collect that money. But on the month-to-month basis, we try to take on the bulk of the work. And then if you can just pay the invoice, that's really all that we ask of you.
I was gonna see if I can pull up the website here, but I'm not sure it's gonna change on your end. So let me quickly switch it over. So I hope you can see our website here. So we will make sure that anyone participating today has our slides so that you can look this over, share it with leadership or teams that need to. But on our Marquette Alger RESA website, you can see under early childhood education, there's a link for the Tri-Share program. And this has a ton of great information. There's family information for families. So if somebody in the community is interested, hey, I really want to be a Tri-Share family, this kind of talks about our program here, talks about what you need. And then if your employer's not signed up, it gives them an opportunity to give the employer handout to that agency, that business, and to be able to contact us. So this website is very helpful. There's an informational handout here as well for UP businesses to kind of look at that to see what the eligibility. So if you have to take this conversation back to somebody else, Zoe and I are happy to assist in the facilitating of that communication. But it is really, really important that you can also pull the information right here on our website. The other things that we've made sure that we have on here is the FPL calculator. We've had quite a few businesses reach out and say, I'm not sure what the FPL piece is, and we're very familiar with it because Great Start Readiness Preschool, our 4-year-old preschool state program and Head Start, all of that eligibility is calculated under FPL, but most people don't really know where they fall. And that's why it's really important that we put it in here, and we put it in here so families can check and see. If they have any questions about, should I apply? Should I not apply? Sometimes we just tell people, check the FPL calculator, kind of look at it. But I don't want people to feel like that's the be all end all. Feel free always to have your employees apply, and best case scenario, they qualify. Worst case scenario, we refer them to childcare subsidy and, help make that connection for them if they're under the threshold of income eligibility, or, look at Great Start to Quality, or look at having a conversation with the business about support. So this is really, really helpful for families, but also for employers. So if you kind of wanted to look and see what that looks like, that is on there. I also want to scroll down. We put in there all the information that we have for Tri-Share in the news, but this is also our interest form. So once you sign on as an employer to participate, this would be, well, it's open all the time, but if once you are a business, on the drop down of who's your employer, you would be listed here where employees can select that. This interest form is really important. It talks, all the information that is needed for us, the best way to, contact them, where they live, who the employer is, what your FTE, that was requested by one of our businesses because that helps prioritize their eligibility. And then their monthly gross income, if there is a spouse that or significant other that contributes to household income, that is documented right here, as Zoe said. And then you do have to upload documentation if that is the case. So that is really, really helpful to us because that kind of allows us to verify truly the eligibility. And then looking at, how many people live in the house, because the federal poverty level goes by your income, but also how many people you are supporting. So that's why it's really important. The other thing on our application that's on here is, do you currently have children in childcare. We have come across quite a few families and businesses have encouraged, even if they're on a waiting list, if they're offering Tri-Share at that business, that they apply because they could be on a waiting list and get a spot, you know, for the fall as children are transitioning to kindergarten. All of those different things happen, but it's really important that it's noted here. Yes or not yet is what we have on there. Who's your child care provider? And because we know license is such a requirement in this program, it is put on here that, you know, is your provider licensed? And then we are requesting you to get the provider's license number, which you can get from the LARA website or directly from the child care provider. And the reason we're doing this is we ran into a challenge where somebody thought their provider was licensed and it wasn't. And that was a very big surprise to them. So we kind of want parents to know that first before we tell them that, and surprise them with that information, because if their provider is not licensed, they are not eligible. Even if they are eligible for Tri-Share, we cannot pay at that center. So that is something that we really want parents to assume that responsibility to understand. You know, how many children they have, that's really important, because that's all information a business needs in order to know how much that you know, employee will be costing when it comes to Tri-Share. Do we have permission? You know, we want to be able to make sure that we are having that back and forth communication. So that's all part of here. So that is the application. It's very, very simple. Our goal, Zoe and I work really hard at this, is that it's very easy for our businesses. It's very easy for the employees, and it's very easy for the child care providers. We want to make this program easy. This is an incredible program to help support your current employees, but also attract an employee. If I have child care for my child and I am able to get a job at your business, your place of work, and have a third of my child care covered, that's going to be an incentive for me to take a position in your place of business. And I think that that is something we have to take in consideration when we know there are a lot of options for families, you know, for workforce. We want to make sure that we have that available. And if you have any questions as we kind of wrap up here, please go ahead and add them into the chat. We are happy to, you know, to include and answer any question you have, because, so this is our contact information. And like I said, I will make sure that Megan and Christopher have this information that can be shared out with the businesses, that Zoe and I are here to answer any questions. Our goal is to really utilize this money. It's really hard having this money available and it not being used. We really know that the needs are there, and we also know that businesses are really struggling right now. And so this is a great opportunity for people to connect, but to also use what's available. I just have time for questions now. That's kind of our whole shebang. Not seeing any questions.
And if you think of something, you know, later, feel free to, like Lyndsay said, email us, call us, whatever. We are available. And I know questions sometimes come up later after you have a chance to maybe review the website or something like that.